Welcome to Students on Strike, our fourth episode. We're back in person.
Hooray!
Yeah, like I said, we're going to do as much as we can, but
if it doesn't happen, also, he bought a mic. And
we got a mic and a camera.
And a camera.
So,
online things will be improved.
Yes. And, all right, so we don't have a time limit today, which means we're not restricted to 30 minutes.
That's right.
I do think the 32-minute episodes went smoothly. But today we're not restricted to a time, so I don't know. It might be a little bit longer.
Yeah. All right. So the AFC, our time, the AFC and NFC Conference Championship just happened. Ravens, what happened to you? You should have won that game. But this is a sort of a football-themed episode, so this is just
celebrate
all
the Super Bowl. So today we're doing all football.
Yeah.
This will drop the Monday before the Super Bowl? Yes.
The Monday week of the Super Bowl, right after the Pro Bowl is when this is dropping, I think.
So, today we'll be doing Ready, Set, Rank It, our favorite NFL teams, top 10. I will say, up until probably my top 3, it's all teams I just don't hate.
Yeah, there's teams that I like.
I'm not a huge believer in second favorite teams.
I have a second favorite team.
But I will say I do have teams that I have a soft spot for. So those are the teams that will probably be on here. And then the rest of them are teams that I just
like fine.
That I don't hate. So not Kansas City. And
the Dallas Cowboys and the Steelers.
So also before we start, for anybody who cares about the sport of football whatsoever, I want to start a thing. Boycott the Swifty Bowl. Do not watch the Super Bowl. I know this is awful since we're celebrating the Super Bowl this episode.
I sort of want to watch the Super Bowl though.
But
Taylor Swift's not even performing. It's Usher.
Usher.
Yeah,
I'm not rooting for the Chiefs or the 49ers. I'm rooting for Usher. Because I cannot stand the little circus that the Kansas City Chiefs are running right now. It is an embarrassment to the sport of football.
I'm still rooting for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Tom Brady. He's retired. Mm-hmm.
Well, Tom Brady might go back to Michigan. Have you seen that?
I have.
All right.
All right.
Let's get straight into it.
We should probably jump into it. I think you started last time, so I'll start this time, which I'm really regretting now because I don't really know who my number 10 team is. So right off the bat, I'm gonna go with the Denver Broncos.
All right. Okay.
Number one reason, I've just never really had an issue for the Broncos.
Yeah, I like Peyton Manning.
Besides when Peyton Manning played for them.
Really?
I'm a Patriots fan. I don't like Peyton Manning.
I like Peyton Manning,
Denver Broncos. My uncle lives in Colorado, so yeah.
Right.
Denver Broncos.
My number 10, the Bengals. Never had a problem with the Bengals. Cincinnati. Never been there. But yeah, I like the Bengals. Cool uniforms. The whiteout uniform's pretty cool. So yeah.
My next team is the Green Bay Packers.
All right.
That's changed since Aaron Rodgers played for them because I don't like Aaron Rodgers. But Green Bay Packers, cool, young, fun team.
Yep.
They're fun to watch because you don't really know what you're going to get. You're going to get a terrible game or you're going to get a great game. Yep. So Green Bay Packers.
Coincidentally, my number 9 is also the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, same things. Like the Green Bay Packers. I sort of like Aaron Rodgers, not as a person, but as a player, I like Aaron Rodgers. So yeah.
My number 8 team is I'm gonna receive hate for this one. Usually, I just burped. Sorry. Usually I'd rank this team higher, but I don't want to. Philadelphia Eagles. Great team. They fell apart. I was actually rooting for the Eagles in the playoffs. I don't know. I just kind of like the Eagles.
Yeah.
Just dating back to the Michael Vick days. I don't know. Just kind of.
Yeah, they're not on my list, but I don't have a problem with the Eagles. It's just they're not. I just don't like them that much. I don't know why. I went to Philadelphia this weekend, and it was the stadium's cool. We saw the stadium on the way.
I've been to the Link various times.
Yeah. All right, my number 8 just lost in the conference championship. The Lions. I like the Lions. I'm now referring to what's his name, Jared Goff, as Lion Gosling because he looks like Ryan Gosling and he plays for Lions.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 7. What team do I not have an issue with? The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They've just been so terrible for so long. I have to have a soft spot for them. I felt bad. They lost in the
Yeah.
wild card game. I wanted to see them play the Ravens, but it didn't happen.
I want to see Joe Flacco go against this team.
I really enjoyed when Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham were on the Browns. I rooted for them here and there. I watched their games, but Cleveland, I'm sorry that your team was stolen from you, and then they won a Super Bowl in 2000.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. My number 7. My number 7 is the Saints. I just like the Saints. Cool uniforms. Also New Orleans, Party City. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the Saints.
My number 6 team will probably be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Just because Tom Brady played on them.
No, actually, no. I just don't have an issue with the Buccaneers. That's the thing. But they are so embarrassingly bad that, like...
I mean, they're in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but they were, like, 9-8 or something. I don't know. And no, I'm not a Patriots fan who rooted for the Buccaneers just because Tom played for them. I'm not like that. I'm not going to root for someone just because the GOAT played for them.
Yeah.
I don't care. Tom is different from the Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My number 6. Shout out to my cousin Liam, who wanted me to shout him out. My number 6 is the Panthers. They're in North Carolina.
Go Panthers!
Go Panthers! My cousin really liked the show, so thank you for listening to it. But yeah, Panthers. Cam Newton, Panthers.
Cam Newton is one of my favorite football players.
I like Cam Newton a lot. Yeah.
His mouth can be a little weird sometimes, but
I like the Dude Perfect episode with Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is he's a cool guy. Enjoyed the 1 year he played in New England, but
he did.
Yeah.
Oh.
People will give him a lot of will throw a lot of shade at him because he played poorly that year. Cam Newton was not that bad as a New England Patriot. It's just he wasn't up to the expectation of a New England Patriots quarterback. Cam Newton should have gotten another year starting for the Patriots, in my opinion. So, yeah, just putting that out there. Yeah. My next team is actually, I don't see why not. I'll throw the Panthers on my list.
At your number 5?
At my number 5. Okay. Just to round out the teams I don't really care about. But Carolina Panthers, I don't mind them. I don't have an issue with them. My cousin lives in South Carolina, so might as well put him on there. I'm so sorry that your team got so incredibly screwed over.
Wasn't like 2 and
they were really bad. Bryce Young doesn't look that great. Obviously it's only his first year, so right. There's still room for improvement. Mingo, I think, is actually going to be a pretty good wide receiver in the league. So, good luck, Carolina. I hope you're better next year. And you don't trade your first-round draft picks anymore because
I don't know why they did that to Chicago. But, all right. My number 5, the starting to get the teams I actually sort of like. Well, I like the Panthers, but teams that I'd actually root for the Super Bowl. Rams. I really like the Rams. I think they should have kept Ryan Gosling on the Rams, but then I guess we wouldn't call him that. Mm-hmm. But Matthew Stafford, he's a really good quarterback. I think.
Matthew Stafford got the job done. Yeah. Their angle was that they wanted to win a Super Bowl,
and they did.
And they absolutely blew their cap, and now they're going to be mediocre for a while.
I mean, they have Puka, which is Puka's pretty good in cap, but yeah.
So my next team, my number 4 team, right? Yep. Yeah. This is the last team that I don't really care about. And the only reason they're on my list is because their jerseys are sick. And also I really like their quarterback. So my next team is Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
Also, I just feel so bad for them. And as a New England Patriots fan, for years we have tortured the Chargers. Mm-hmm. They have had playoff heartbreak upon playoff heartbreak upon playoff heartbreak due to my New England Patriots.
Yeah.
1 year, I think it was like 2006, Tom Brady threw like 3 interceptions and the Chargers still lost. So I'm sorry, Los Angeles. How old am I? And then, so sorry, Los Angeles.
Okay.
Thought the bad times were going to leave when you left San Diego, but Los Angeles isn't helping anything. You are still the biggest choke artists in the NFL.
Yeah. Isn't Justin Herbert the quarterback?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, I've always just really liked this team. The Bills, Josh Allen Bills. I just really like the Bills. I don't Nothing really special about it. It's just I really like them. I don't know why. Special team.
My next team is going to be the. See, it's really hard for me here. I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Really, that's your number 3?
It was either gonna be the Vikings or the Bears. I like both teams a lot, but I will put the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know. I've just always liked Minnesota. Randy Moss is one of my favorite players of all time. Not only because he played in New England, but just I love Randy Moss. So Minnesota. It hurts not putting Chicago on my list, but
sorry. Yeah. All right. My number 3. This is a hometown team. My number 3 is the Commanders. Mm-hmm. They're not that great, but I like the Commanders. So I've been to. I think that's the most football games I've been to is like a Commanders game. So.
My number 2 team is the Washington Commanders as well.
Yeah.
I love going to Commanders games, no matter how bad they are. And I will say, I do genuinely follow the Commanders, and like I like to see them win. So, I guess they're not a second favorite team. I have a soft spot for them. I do actually really like the Commanders though. Yeah. I like to see them win. They're not my favorite team, but I guess technically they're my second favorite team. I don't know. I just feel bad for them. And my favorite NFL player of all time, this will probably come as a shock to a lot of people. Sean Taylor is he is my favorite NFL player of all time. I love Sean Taylor. Rest in peace, Sean. Died way too soon. But the Washington Commanders, I hope there are better days ahead for the Commanders.
All right, my number 2, the Ravens. I just really like the Ravens. My friend got me into liking the Ravens like maybe 7 years ago, and that's the only merch of football stuff I've ever had. I had a Joe Flacco jersey and I had a Ravens hat.
Well, I mean, the Ravens are pretty close to a hometown team.
Yeah, they're Baltimore.
Yeah,
and also they've got really good uniforms. I like when they were like the black like jersey and the.
I love their blackout jerseys.
They're so cool. Also, Lamar Jackson deserves a Super Bowl and MVP, which he got ESPN MVP.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll win MVP.
Yeah.
My number 1 team, as a surprise to absolutely nobody, is the New England Patriots. My family is from New England, so don't call me a bandwagon. So my entire family is from Boston. So I've been born and raised a New England Patriots fan. Mm-hmm. I have seen the good times and mostly only the good times, besides for the last few years. So I just want to say thank you, Tom. Thank you, Bill. And that's it.
Okay. My number 1 is the New York Giants. This is mainly because my dad's from New York, and that's just the team he likes. Yeah, that's sort of the only reason I like the Giants. They've been awful, but Tommy DeVito, not a great quarterback. He should not be the starting quarterback for next year. They should draft somebody new. Mm-hmm. I do feel bad for Saquon Barkley because he's too good for the Giants.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yep. Well, that's a good way to round off our list.
Yeah.
On to, I guess, a high note because both teams are terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So today, as we have been doing lately, we will be introducing one new segment in the middle today, not at the end. Yeah. So our middle segment will be What If? We've been talking about doing this for a while. Did I think it was going to be with football at first?
No.
But it's kind of an interesting idea. So we will be doing 3 What Ifs. I'll be delivering 2.
And I'll be doing 1 because Luke knows way more about football than I do, and I will have to make him clarify if it's people I don't know.
So we'll do 3 What Ifs, discuss. So yeah. I'm gonna kick us off.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're sticking Super Bowl related.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of something recently that's happened that like really truly altered a Super Bowl. I'm gonna say, what if in Super Bowl, in my favorite Super Bowl ever. Okay. Actually, that's not my favorite Super Bowl ever, but probably one of the best Super Bowls ever. What if Carson Wentz had actually played instead of Nick Foles
against the Patriots?
Against the Patriots. Okay. So
This is the one where the Philly special happened, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So the
okay.
Patriots lost
Yeah.
41 to 33. Or 40, it was 8 points. Yeah. 41 to 30. Yeah. 41 to 33. Yes. Yeah, that's 8 points. Yeah, it's 41 to 33. Tom Brady played possibly the greatest Super Bowl he's ever played before, where basically he broke every Super Bowl passing record and like in-game passing record, and the Patriots still somehow lost. There's one particular play in this game I do want to talk about. The very last play where Tom Brady threw up a ball to Rob Gronkowski, and if you look back at it, obviously we can't roll the clip since this is a podcast. There is a clear pass interference against Rob Gronkowski in the end zone where the Patriots should have had one last play from the 1 yard line. So my what if is, what if that was actually called pass interference? What would have happened?
Okay.
So, implications. The Patriots would have had to have scored a touchdown and then gone for 2, right? So you have to take into account that
they probably most likely would have scored the touchdown.
Right. Yeah, their O-line was just way too good back then, along with a rushing attack from Dion Lewis.
Mm-hmm. All right, so they score the touchdown, right? It is 40 to 41.
Right. So another.
No, it's 39 to 41.
39. Previous year, 28-3 game.
Yeah.
My favorite Super Bowl. That's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Patriots went for 2 on last play regulation again to tie the game, and where they'd eventually gone to win. So I think it's pretty evident that the Patriots would have made it. So I think it all comes down to who would have won the coin flip between Philly and
because I think whoever got the first drive would have scored a touchdown.
Yeah. I will say New England's defense was starting to lock up Philly towards the end of that game, but Philly was unstoppable for a lot of that game.
They were both tired. Both teams were tired.
So. I would love to say as a Patriots fan that New England would have locked them up on defense, but I believe New England was representing the away team, so they would have got to pick the coin flip. So
that's the Super Bowl I remember because Philly was destroyed afterwards. That's
right. I would like to say that if New England got that 2-point conversion, they would have flipped the coin, would have been whatever, heads or tails. They got the ball and gone on the field, scored. Just a really probably. Besides last year's game between the Chiefs and Eagles, probably the best Super Bowl in recent memory, because just an absolute shootout.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
Yeah,
I think that's like the second Super Bowl I remember watching, because I know the first was Panthers Broncos. That's the first Super Bowl I remember watching. But yeah, I think the Eagles would have come out on top, just because. Again, they had home field advantage, so
I know we said we're only going to do 3, but I actually had thought about one, like literally right now. What if you definitely know this one? Last play of not the last play, but one of the last plays of last Super Bowl was the holding call.
Yeah.
On where James Bradbury was holding Juju Smith-Schuster. What if that doesn't get called? So. In theory, KC would have kicked a field goal, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe that was 3rd down. So they would have gone ahead by 3. And Philly would have had, I think, 40 seconds, something like that. So, somewhere around 40 seconds, minute and a half. I do think Jalen Hurts, who was playing really well that entire game up until around the 4th quarter, would have at least gone downfield and got a field goal and tied.
I still think that
KC would have won. I still think KC would have won.
That's the problem with Patrick Mahomes, is that he's like a different person when he's in the playoffs.
Right.
So like if the Ravens had played the Chiefs, did they play in regular season?
No.
Yeah, if they had played in regular season, Ravens I think would have almost done with it to the Dolphins, right?
Right.
But I think it's just that Patrick Mahomes is way more driven in the playoffs than he is in the regular season.
Yeah. I don't know. That was another really great Super Bowl. I think that was actually probably the best Super Bowl since 2020 of this decade.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. My one what if that my dad will appreciate is, what if the helmet catch never happened? And correct me if I'm wrong, this is 2008 Super Bowl?
7? Well, 2007 season, I think the Super Bowl was 2008.
In 2008. It was the third quarter?
It was the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Round, like the 2-minute warning,
Yeah, Peyton Manning escapes the tackle.
Peyton Manning.
Not Peyton Manning. Eli Manning escapes the tackle. Throws it down to
David Tyree.
David Tyree and catches it. Who's defending him?
Ronnie Harrison.
Ronnie Harrison right behind him. He jumps up in the air, catches it on his helmet, and somehow doesn't let the ball hit the ground.
I'd love to point out that was David Tyree's last catch as an NFL wide receiver. His first, I'm pretty sure that was one of his only catches as an NFL wide receiver, and it was his
best catch, one of the best catches.
And it was his last catch as an NFL wide receiver. So yeah, you know how much I don't want to talk about this right now.
Yeah, because there was a 16-0 season for the Patriots, and then the Giants ended up beating them in the Super Bowl.
So I want to take it back a few plays before that.
Okay.
So, or was it after? Either before or after. Asante Samuel on the sideline had a chance to pick the ball, went right between his hands. I think that was the play leading up to it, and they blew it. Also, let's not forget to mention that the Patriots still could have held them to a field goal. The helmet catch, although it was a huge play, New England could have still held them to a field goal from where they were. It wasn't like it was a game-winning touchdown catch. New England's defense still could have held them. I don't know how in this entire world Eli Manning stayed on his feet.
Didn't he break
he broke 2 tackles. Yeah. Ridiculous.
The power of Peyton Manning was inside of him. Even though Peyton Manning's still alive, he was still.
Yeah. So what would have happened? If Eli Manning would have got sacked, and New England would have won the game, and they would have been the greatest team in NFL history.
Because they have a 16-0 season.
I still think they're the greatest team in NFL history.
What year of Patriots? That year?
They are the greatest team in the NFL history. It's just they'll never be considered that because, they didn't finish. But I mean,
Did the Dolphins have a 17-0 season?
No. Well, it was 14-0 because the NFL hadn't adapted to 16-0. So there's only one team to ever go 16-0 in the regular season. That's the New England Patriots.
And they lost in the Super Bowl. Okay. The Patriots would have won that if that catch never happened, I think.
Yeah, easily. I mean, yeah, because Tom would have got the ball, kneeled it down, game over.
Yeah. All right.
And then it happened again.
All right, what's your last? What
if? My last what if is what if the Eagles had not the Eagles, another bird team, Seahawks had just run it on the 1-yard line.
I don't know why they threw that. Why did they throw that? Just do a quarterback sneak.
The greatest, in my opinion, the greatest Super Bowl in Super Bowl history.
The interception.
I've been throwing that around a lot, but this game had everything. It had amazing plays after amazing plays after amazing plays. It had a comeback. It had Tom Brady. The greatest Super Bowl ever. I think there's a lot of people who will agree with me on that. It was such a good game. Watching the possible repeat champions Seahawks take on Patriots. What an amazing game. This segment has really turned into us just talking about great Super Bowls. But
maybe that'll be a top 10 eventually.
Yeah.
Super Bowls of all time.
But the what if is what if they just gave Marshawn Lynch the ball and he ran into the end zone?
Because Marshawn Lynch was the number one. Right?
Well, he was one of the best.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the best power backs in NFL history. Mm-hmm. So what if they had just handed him the ball and he ran 2 yards?
I don't know. Why didn't they do any sort of running?
Because my guess, and this is my guess, I don't know, is that they were thinking that New England was going to stack the goal line, meaning push him back, and then they'd lose yardage because New England has always had a good defensive line, good pass rush, and good run attack. So I'm assuming they thought that New England was going to bunch up the line, but I don't really understand why that makes it where you're not going to run the ball.
What goal was it? 3 and goal, or is it?
It was first and goal.
Oh,
yeah.
Why didn't they at least try 3 runs and then?
I have no clue. It is possibly the dumbest play call in NFL history. Also for Malcolm Butler to tee up that catch or interception at that perfect timing, read to a T.
That happened.
And let's also not talk about how Malcolm Butler had really done nothing before then.
Didn't that also a similar thing happen in the Falcons game against the Patriots, where it was the 2-yard
the strip sack. Dante Hightower stripped the ball from Matt Ryan, which basically changed the momentum of the game completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what if the Seahawks ran the ball? Well, I think they probably would have scored a touchdown. That's why the play in my mind boggles my mind because, oh my God, like, what are you thinking? But I'm happy.
Yeah.
So, I remember watching that game. That was that was the first Super Bowl I ever watched. Yeah.
Okay. That concludes What If. If you like that one, we'll do it again, but for other things.
I think we can. For What If, this was a very dry run of What If.
Yeah.
We'll come up with more. We'll come up with more like in-depth What Ifs.
We can always do like a What If of like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I want to make a Star Wars What If show similar to the Marvel one, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. We could turn into a whole series.
Yeah.
With like rabbit holes and whatnot. Yeah. But this was just kind of a dry run of us just discussing what would have happened if something went down.
Yeah.
If something went down differently.
Okay, bringing back returning segment.
Draft day.
Draft day, yeah. This one similar to normal NFL draft, same rules, but this is the quarterbacks, just drafting quarterbacks of all time, not like college ones that are coming to NFL. Yeah.
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors for
I think we
pick?
have to rock, paper, scissors
because we know who the first pick is
going to be. Okay.
All right, best of three.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I won one. All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I get the first draft pick. I'm selecting Eli Manning. I'm kidding. I'm selecting Tom Brady as the number one pick.
Really? What a shock. So Tom Brady, obviously
it's
the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. He's not dead. It's not like
but
thank him every single time he mentions his name.
He is my GOAT.
Okay.
So my first pick will probably be. I think he's the greatest quarterback, or the second greatest quarterback of all time. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I'm going Joe Montana. I mean, the GOAT debate was always between Montana and Brady. I don't like to throw Mahomes' name in there this early in his career is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Joe Montana, just so good, and he went to Notre Dame, which also I kind of like him for that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, so many legendary moments. The original comeback kid. So Joe Montana.
Okay, so unlike Luke, I don't have any other knowledge of a lot of other quarterbacks. So I sort of just looked up a list of the best quarterbacks of all time. So I'm also going off the knowledge of how many yards they threw in total. So my number two, probably not controversial, but shouldn't be my number two. Mm-hmm. My number two is Drew Brees. He
was good for a while.
He threw for like 80,000 yards.
Drew Brees, I think he had the passing touchdowns record, but because Brady played for another year, Brady got it. Drew Brees had a very, very tough start to his career. He was drafted in the second round by the Chargers to come in and replace an old, decrepit Doug Flutie. And he played really well, or he was really bad. And then when he finally started to catch fire, they drafted Phillip Rivers to kind of put some heat on his back. And he got the start the next season, but injured his throwing shoulder and was released by the team in that offseason where he was predicted to sign in Miami when he didn't. And he instead signed in New Orleans, which there made Nick Saban quit coaching at the NFL level, where Nick Saban quickly returned to the college level, coaching LSU. But anyway, Drew Brees, one-time Super Bowl champion, should be two because the Rams flagrant PI. I think if the Saints had played the Patriots in that Super Bowl, they would have won. Am I complaining? No.
If you're not watching on YouTube and you can't see my face, this is me being shocked about how much knowledge Luke knows on everything about football. See, I don't really have that with football or any sports for that matter. But yeah, all right, Luke, you want to choose your number two pick?
My number two pick is going to be Johnny Unitas.
I don't know who that is.
He was drafted before the Super Bowl era by the Steelers, and one of the worst trades ever. He was traded to the Colts, where he became an all-time legend for the Colts. I think he won a Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era in Indianapolis, but he's most well known for the NFL championship. I forget what year, but it was against the Giants in New York, I think at the Polo Grounds, where it was just one of the greatest football games I ever played, where it was just textbook football all the way through, absolute battle, and I do believe the Colts won. I forget, but yeah.
Sure. I don't know who that is, but that's Luke's number 2 pick. My number 3, I'm going between 2 people. I have a list. Let's go with, I'm going to choose Brett Favre as my number 3. Packers, Brett Favre. I don't know much about Brett Favre. I just know he played for the Packers, and he was pretty good.
Brett Favre?
Yeah.
Brett Favre originally drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. The ownership of the Falcons did not really like Brett Favre. I think he started like a game for them. They didn't really like what they saw. I think he was the first overall draft pick too, so weird. He was then traded to the Packers for pennies on the dollar. And obviously the rest is history. Brett Favre was a great quarterback for the Packers. I think he only won one Super Bowl, 1996 against the New England Patriots. And then he lost to the Denver Broncos in a Super Bowl a few years later against John Elway. Great player. Not the smartest guy when it comes to talking, but
how many football players are?
Yeah, Brett Favre. Also, he should have just retired. The Jets thing was dumb. So was the Vikings thing.
Wait, so he did the same thing as Aaron Rodgers, where he just got traded to the Jets?
Yep, and then the Vikings. Which he actually, late in his career, he did make it to an NFC Championship game against the Saints, which is the where the Bounty Gate thing really got exposed because they purposely tried to injure Brett Favre. But that's off topic. Next.
Right. What's your number 3, Luke?
My number 3, John Elway. Okay. I just talked about him. He took the Broncos to 4 Super Bowls before he eventually won in 1997 against the Falcons and then won the next year against the Packers. But is probably most known for the Drive and then the Drive 2, where in back-to-back NFC Championship games, AFC Championship games, they took on the Browns, both ending in historic fashion with John Elway marching the Denver Broncos down the field to score on the last drive of the game, propelling the Broncos to 2 Super Bowls, which they lost both. But, it's fine. John Elway was originally drafted by the Baltimore Colts, decided he did not want to play with them, threatened to play baseball instead because he was drafted by the New York Yankees, showed up to spring training for the Yankees, so was already set to go play for the Yankees, even though he was a much better football player, and then was eventually traded to the Denver Broncos, which obviously he is most well known for playing for the Broncos.
I had no idea he was a baseball player. Turns out a lot of if you sort of want to quit your sport, I guess you go to baseball, because I guess
Tebow,
Michael
Deion,
Jordan,
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. All right. My number 4. That's what number we're at. My number 4 is Peyton Manning, another Broncos player. He played for the Colts originally, right? Yeah. That's the one jersey my dad has. It's a Peyton Manning jersey on the Colts. So yeah, Peyton Manning is a fantastic player. Luke, explain.
Peyton Manning, drafted 1999, I believe. He was out of Tennessee. I do think he won the Heisman. He did win the Heisman. Yeah, I think he won the Heisman. He had an awful first rookie season, which a lot of people don't remember this. He was terrible his first season. He threw the most interceptions of any rookie quarterback in NFL history. I think he has the most interceptions of any quarterback in NFL history in his first season, which was I think it was up near 30, which is insane. So
it's like 2 a game.
And he eventually won a Super Bowl against the Bears in 2006 after they finally beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And then went back to the Super Bowl again a few years later to play against the Saints, where they lost. And then to cap off his career in 2015, him and the Denver Broncos defeated the Carolina Panthers, the 15-1 Carolina Panthers, in Super Bowl 50.
Yep. All right, Luke, your number 4.
My number 4 will be this is actually kind of a hard pick. I have to think for a second. I would love to put an older guy on here, but I really don't like the way like that the NFL was, but I will put Dan Marino on my list, the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Played so well for so long. He was drafted in the same draft as John Elway, but he fell to like the 32nd pick or something like that. He fell really far in the draft, passed on by the Patriots, the Jets, Broncos, the Bills. So he fell really far in that draft. There was a ton of great NFL legends in that draft. I think Jim Kelly was in that draft too. So was obviously John Elway, Jacob Eason, who no one knows who that is, but he was a long-time Patriots quarterback who took the Patriots to their first ever Super Bowl. A lot of great NFL players in that draft, but Dan Marino, greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl, said that. He is the first ever, in my opinion, really passing attack quarterback. He predominantly passed the way the NFL was for a really long time, whereas it was a very much so a ground and pound league where you would just run the ball straight for 4 quarters and pass it on third down. Obviously, that didn't work for the Dolphins as they made it to one Super Bowl, which was supposed to be the greatest Super Bowl ever because it was between Joe Montana, Dan Marino. Joe Montana and the 49ers ended up blowing out Miami. But the ground and pound game really just ran rapid through the league for a really long time. So Dan Marino really becoming the first great passing quarterback is why he's on my list.
Okay, so that was going to be a number 5 pick. I chose 10 people that I have on my thing. The other 3, I don't really want to put them on my top 5. First of all, one of them, I've heard his name, don't know anything about him.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2, I don't think they're good enough to be on the top 5. So I'm just going to choose the one I don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to choose Joe Namath.
Joe Namath?
On the Jets, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right, that's going to be number 5 pick. Luke?
So, Joe Namath, Broadway Joe, one of the most overrated players in NFL history, in my opinion.
Right.
Basically, only if you look back at his stats, and it's predominantly because of what I had just talked about for like 2 minutes, where the NFL was predominantly running, he was awful. Like, he was not good at all. Like, his passing stats were terrible. He is known as an NFL legend because he was the first ever AFC, or I guess at the time AFL quarterback to win a Super Bowl against the NFL because he promised a win against the Baltimore Colts. Just one of the most overrated quarterbacks ever. His impact on the game, though, is he really brought celebrity status to NFL players.
Was he on Broadway beforehand?
No, it's just
his name, nickname, Broadway Joe.
Broadway Joe. He was known for hanging around with some younger women, being on the cover of some magazines where there wasn't a lot of clothing. So Joe Namath really brought out the name of, or the celebrity status of NFL players. But besides that, not the best player ever. Yeah.
Right. Well, so regret my 5th pick, but all right. What's your 5th pick, Luke?
My 5th pick. So I've picked Elway, picked Marino, picked Montana. My other pick was who?
Elway,
Marino, Montana. So
who was your first pick?
Montana.
Oh, there was somebody that I had never heard of before.
Who was it? What?
Wasn't he the Colts player?
No. Oh yeah, Unitas. Yeah. So I've only picked older quarterbacks. So I want to put another quarterback on there. I don't want to put Peyton on my list. I already
took Peyton.
I know. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't want to take Eli. Eli's terrible. Eli Manning is the most, besides Joe Namath, is the most overrated quarterback in NFL history.
Manning, but
Ben Roethlisberger is not good enough to be on this list. I've been really putting innovative players on my list. So who's someone in recent? I don't want to put Patrick Mahomes on my list. I don't want to take Patrick Mahomes. I really don't.
What about Lamar?
I don't want to take Lamar either.
Aaron,
no. You know what? Screw it. I'm taking one of my favorite NFL players ever, Michael Vick.
Yep. Knew it was coming.
He did not play that long in the NFL, but he holds, for now, basically every...
Except for one of the ones that Lamar Jackson took.
Yeah. Every rush... He holds basically every record for a rushing quarterback in the NFL. He never won a Super Bowl, but he played some really good playoff games. He was a really clutch player. So yeah, there's not much I can say about him. He was originally from Virginia, which is another reason I really like him. Went to Virginia Tech, took them to their first ever national championship game, where he basically single-handedly kept them in the game, where they lost to Florida State, unfortunately. And Virginia Tech has not made it back to a national championship since then. Was declared for the draft after his redshirt sophomore season at Virginia Tech. Was originally going to get drafted by San Diego until the Falcons moved up in the draft to number 1, where they drafted Michael Vick. Michael Vick had a few really good years with the Falcons. 2002 was his best year, capped off by a playoff victory at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers, which was the Packers' first ever home loss in the playoffs, until 2006, where he unfortunately went to jail because he did some no-nos. Until his return in 2010, where he was really good, actually.
That's the Eagles run, right?
Eagles won Comeback Player of the Year. Next year, the Dream Team was assembled with Asante Samuel, I think Brian Dawkins, Deshaun Jackson, some other really good players around that team. I think LaShawn McCoy might have been on that team. So really good team, but they flopped completely. I think they went 9-7, missed the playoffs, and they were completely terrible compared to what they were supposed to be. Season was basically headlined off Nick Foles making his first start for the Eagles, where the the legend of Nick Foles began, where he would eventually leave to become the starter of the Rams and then return in 2017 to win the Super Bowl. And as Michael Vick's career slowly fizzled out, he retired a Pittsburgh Steeler, I believe. He was a backup quarterback for the Jets and the Steelers for a really long time. So,
well, that's our drafts. I'll recite mine. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, and Joe Namath.
Mine is Joe Montana, Johnny Unitas, John Elway, Dan Marino, and Michael Vick.
I'll put a poll this time. I think I forgot you last time. I'll put a poll in the Spotify, and you can choose which ones you like better. Which
draft? Yep.
Okay, we decided that we're gonna make this podcast still somewhat educational, but we're going to flip between two things. It's gonna be every other episode. So every other episode is gonna be Particular News with Patrick. That's gonna be today. And the other one is
Fun Florida Man Stories with Luke.
Fun Florida Man Stories. All right. Luke, count me down. 1 minute on the clock.
All right, let me get my phone out.
Okay, just gotta make sure.
All right. Ready, set, go.
All right. Wallet lost in Arizona River returned to owner after nearly 20 years. Wow. Zoo workers pursue a person in a bear costume for an escape drill. Runaway parrot reunites with owner. Best friend.
Wow, birds come back.
Yeah. New York City woman wins $265,152 in lottery prize using her grandkids' age.
Seems like there's been a lot of lottery.
A lot of lottery, yeah. Elephant family work together to save baby stuck in mud. Is it a real baby or is it an elephant baby? Probably an elephant baby, but we don't know. British Columbia rejected vanity plates include turd and boink. I don't know why boink is in there. But Kentucky convenience store bathrooms transform into disco clubs. I want to go to Kentucky now.
Yeah. We've had Kentucky on our list 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Checkman's collection of Lego sets is the largest in the world. I would like to see that, actually. Inappropriate emergency calls. Lost dentures and hand stuck in mailbox. I'm not sure where those are.
And you're finished.
Oh.
Well, that was quite the news this week. Kentucky making the list again. I think last week or 2 weeks ago they were
Kentucky like a pig in the snow, I think.
Yeah, or it was the money one again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I really hope that elephant saved that baby.
Yep.
Hope it go back to his mother.
Well, this has been quite the episode, very football themed.
Yeah. Not the last part, but
not the last part, but
three. This was a very Luke heavy episode, so if you don't like Luke's voice, let us know, and we'll cut him off the show.
What?
But yeah,
Maybe
maybe next time we'll do one that Patrick knows stuff about, like musicals and theater.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very football themed episode. I hope all of you enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Not watching the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna watch it, but I prefer the 49ers, I guess, to win. But yeah, I guess the 49ers are gonna win the Super Bowl. Actually, no, they're not gonna win this. They're not gonna end up winning the Super Bowl, and then
well, the script writers like the Chiefs, so I'm gonna go with that.
Is it the refs that ref the last game?
Well, so I saw a statistic, or I heard from someone that so the refs who were assigned to the Ravens Chiefs game, so basically when they're reffing home games, the home team loses 30% of the time, which is
That's like 30. Not how that works. Yeah.
Which is like 37% of the time, which is an all-time low, and it's ridiculous. There's a reason that those refs were assigned to that game. So
yeah, I'll leave you.
So very sorry.
I'll leave you with one more headline to end off the episode. Tom Brady may perhaps go back to his college alma mater and play for the Michigan
Wolverines.
Wolverines.
Yeah, that definitely is going to happen.
If it does happen, that's just not fair because he's a professional athlete.
So for the podcast, thank you once again so much for watching. We've been talking about, I think we're going to make a subscriber goal or something. We want to do merch. Like
eventually, and I think our first merch has to be somewhat educational.
Somewhat educational. So yeah, we really want to do that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a really good rest of your week.
Thank you.